Welcome to Wonderslate. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates. Topic for today's video is life process, respiration. We have studied about nutrition in plants and animals. In this video we will study about respiration, which includes what is respiration, types of respiration, human respiratory system, mechanism of breathing, exchange of gases between lungs and bloodstream, exchange of gases between bloodstream and body tissues, and respiration in plants. The process by which a living being utilizes the food to get energy is called respiration. Respiration is an oxidation reaction in which carbohydrate is oxidized to produce energy. Mitochondria is the site of respiration and the energy released is stored in the form of ATP, that is, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is stored in mitochondria and is released as per need. First step in respiration is gaseous exchange, the intake of oxygen from the atmosphere, and release of carbon dioxide to atmosphere. This process is also known as breathing. The next step is cellular respiration. It is a process of breaking down of simple food in order to release energy inside the cell. Now we will know about breaking down of glucose into pyruvate. This step happens in the cytoplasm. Glucose molecule is broken down into pyruvic acid. Glucose molecule is composed of 6 carbon atoms, while pyruvic acid is composed of 3 carbon atoms. Fate of pyruvic acid. Further breaking down of pyruvic acid takes place in mitochondria and the molecules formed depend on the type of respiration in a particular organism. Respiration is of 2 types, viz. Aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. This type of respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. It occurs in mitochondria. Pyruvic acid is converted into carbon dioxide. Energy is released and water molecule is also formed at the end of this process. Anaerobic respiration. This type of respiration happens in the absence of oxygen in cytoplasm. Pyruvic acid is either converted into ethyl alcohol or lactic acid. Ethyl alcohol is usually formed in case of anaerobic respiration in microbes, like yeast or bacteria. Lactic acid is formed in some microbes as well as in the muscle cells. In human beings, air is taken into the body through the nostrils. The air passing through the nostrils is filtered by fine hairs that line the passage. The passage is also lined with mucus which helps in this process. From here, the air passes through the throat and into the lungs. Rings of cartilage are present in the throat. These ensure that the air passage does not collapse. It houses the vocal cords and manipulates pitch and volume, which is essential for phonation. It is also known as voice box. Pharynx splits into trachea and esophagus. Trachea connects the larynx or voice box to the bronchi of the lungs. It provides airflow to and from the lungs for respiration. Bronchi are the main passageway into the lungs. They are the extensions of the windpipe that shuttle air to and from the lungs. The oxygen goes to the lungs and carbon dioxide leave the lungs through them. Bronchi get smaller when they reaches closer to lungs tissues and are called bronchioles. Bronchioles are the passageways by which air passes through the nose or mouth to the alveoli of the lungs within the lungs. The passage divides into smaller and smaller tubes which finally terminate in balloon-like structures which are called alveoli. The alveoli provide a surface where the exchange of gases can take place. The walls of the alveoli contain an extensive network of blood vessels. As we have seen in earlier years, when we breathe in, we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm, and the chest cavity becomes larger as a result. Because of this, air is sucked into the lungs and fills the expanded alveoli. The blood brings carbon dioxide from the rest of the body for release into the alveoli, and the oxygen in the alveolar air is taken up by blood in the alveolar blood vessels to be transported to all the cells in the body. During the breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. The respiratory system helps in breathing, known as pulmonary ventilation. The air inhaled through the nose moves through the pharynx, larynx, and trachea into the lungs. During inhalation, the thoracic cavity, that is, chest cavity expands, ribs lift up, diaphragm become flat in shape, volume of lungs increases and air enters the lungs. The air is exhaled back through the same pathway. Changes in the volume and pressure in the lungs aid in pulmonary ventilation. Thoracic cavity contracts. Ribs move downwards. Diaphragm becomes dome-shaped. Volume of lungs decreases and air exits from the lungs. Exchange of gases between lungs and bloodstream. Inside the lungs, the oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide waste through millions of microscopic sacs called alveoli. The inhaled oxygen diffuses into the pulmonary capillaries and binds to hemoglobin and is pumped through the bloodstream. The carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses into the alveoli and is expelled through exhalation. Exchange of gases between bloodstream and body tissues. The blood carries the oxygen from the lungs around the body and releases the oxygen when it reaches the capillaries. The oxygen is diffused through the capillary walls into the body tissues. The carbon dioxide also diffuses into the blood and is carried back to the lungs for release. Leaves, stems, and roots of plants exchange gases for respiration separately. As we all know, leaves have tiny pores called stomata, which is used for the exchange of gases. The oxygen, taken in through stomata, is used by cells in the leaves to break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water. In the case of the stem, the air gets diffused in the stomata and passes through various parts of the cell for respiration. The carbon dioxide produced during this stage also diffuses through the stomata. In higher plants or woody plants, the gaseous exchange is carried out by lentils. In roots, the underground part of the plants absorb air from the air spaces present between the soil particles. Thus, the oxygen absorbed through roots are used to release energy which is later utilized for the transportation of minerals and salts from the soil. We will have a quick revision about respiration. The metabolic process which involves breakdown of food to release energy is known as respiration. The pyruvate is broken down in carbon dioxide and water in presence of oxygen. It is known as aerobic respiration. The breakdown of pyruvate into ethanol and carbon dioxide is absence of oxygen is known as fermentation. As this process occurs in absence of oxygen, it is known as anaerobic respiration. Compared to animals, plants used stomata to exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen. This exchange occurs through diffusion. Human respiratory system consists of nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and then lungs. In lungs, alveoli are present, where exchange between the oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Hemoglobin helps to carry the oxygen to different parts of the body and to remove carbon dioxide from the body. These are the topics we have studied in this video. We'll see other topics in further videos. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any suggestion for us, feel free to leave comments. If you liked the video and want to see more of it, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to click on subscribe button to get more updates of the future videos.